All right, you guys, let's get back into it. We are back. This is day 15. Today is going to be a great one. I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the Zoom in the chat. All right, you guys, if you're ready, go ahead and hop on. Got Matthew.
Hold on, man.
What's up, Matthew?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, Eric?
Good. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was very small. How was yours?
It was pretty good. What's up, Stanley? All right, you guys, if you're ready, go ahead and hop on.
What's up, Eric?
What's up, man? You had a good weekend?
Yeah, I had a great weekend.
Good. What's up, Matthew?
What's up, man? How you doing, Eric?
Okay, somebody, let me see. Mute.
Yeah, it was very small. How was yours?
We got Sam, we got Claudia.
Hey, Eric, quick question for you, man.
What's up, man?
Hey, have you ever dealt with somebody? Because I just contacted a potential claimant, and they're telling me that because it's a person that passed away, and they're telling me that they had medical bills in regards to that like that was like around five. He said they're pretty big. They were like he said in the 5 digits, right? Um, with that being said, would the medical bills be something that um, if I would go and help them to get surplus funds, would the medical bills be taken away, or would the surplus funds be taken away from the medical bills?
Is this from a tax deed or a mortgage foreclosure?
A tax deed?
From tax deed, yeah, I don't believe so because unless they have that recorded as an actual judgment on the county's level, then they don't have a right to actually go after that claim. They don't have a lien. They don't have any judgment that's filed there. Now, if we were dealing with bankruptcies or mortgage foreclosures, then that could be something that could be in the way they could be entitled to those funds initially. But if we're dealing with the tax deed foreclosure,
Yeah.
and that medical expense is not filed in the county, it's not a actual judgment or an actual lien, then they shouldn't have anything to worry about. And you can relay that information to them as well.
Cool. I'm gonna send over because I just got off the phone with him about 10 minutes ago, and he was telling me that it's four of them that they discussed that they weren't even gonna deal with anything with the property. So I just literally got off the phone right now. I had
It
that
was
question.
it was for medical bills.
No, it was for errors. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So all right, I do appreciate that, man.
So on the deceased individual that passed away, that's the person who had the medical bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do some research on that and then just check and see if the medical bills are actually filed on the county's level. If not, go ahead and relay that information to the heirs. Tell them, but first you want to get them under agreement, get them under contract. Just say you'd like to take a deeper dive into this. It doesn't cost a thing. This is just an agreement so that we can move forward. We only get paid once you get paid. So
Yeah, no,
definitely.
I explained all that to him. He gave me his email to send him more information so that way he could send it to his brothers. And so I'm about to work that right now while I'm watching you.
Nice. So you just got off the phone with him.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
like literally 10 minutes ago.
awesome. And then you already got everything signed for your other deal earlier, right?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the client to send the packet back.
Okay,
I already got it notarized, and I'm working with the lawyer right now.
perfect. Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
Everything is going good.
I have a question. I got a question
Go
too.
ahead, Stanley.
So, I know you explained it, but I just want to hear it again. When you doing the foreclosures, the deed was the foreclosures. How do that go? Like when the person get the money?
For mortgage foreclosures,
Yeah.
Okay, so mortgage foreclosures are going to be pretty much the same as tax deed, except for when you're contacting them, you're going to say, their property was foreclosed due to non-payment in their mortgage, opposed to non-payment in the taxes. With the tax deed, they didn't pay their taxes. With the mortgage foreclosure, they didn't pay their mortgage, and theirs was called a final judgment. So when you go do research, you might find a state that has the auction calendar. Like for example, Ohio and Florida, they have the same similar format where you can see the foreclosures on the auction site. And once you're there, it'll either say final judgment amount or it'll say starting bid, opening bid. And then you'll look for the sold to third party bidder, and then that will give you the surplus in your mortgage foreclosure. Now, the mortgage foreclosures will require an attorney. So just make sure that, whatever state you're working in, you have someone that can assist you when it comes to filing that claim. And then also for mortgage foreclosures, somebody can purchase the property and then walk away. So if the property was up for auction and their mortgage, the final judgment was 300,000, and somebody placed a bid at the auction for, let's say, 400,000, and there's $100,000 surplus, the person who purchased that property at the foreclosure, if they don't submit full payment, most counties are like within 48 hours, then they walk away from the actual bid and they just lose their down payment. Typically, that's like 5% to actually get into the auction. So when that occurs, and I'm letting you guys know because I'm dealing with that situation in Florida. We had somebody signed up, agreed, there was an excess amount, and then boom, 48 hours later, they walked away. But we still had them under agreement. My Florida attorney had them under agreement as well. And we just said, hey, we'll put you on the watch list. And now the property is going to be foreclosed on December 21st. So now we know once December 21st comes, we're going to get that new surplus amount. We already have them under contract, and then we'll just go ahead and move forward with the claim. Does that make sense, Stanley?
Yes, because I was wondering. I think I had needed a lawyer or attorney, so that's why I had wanted to make sure, because I didn't know like how the money goes. So that's why I just get an attorney for that. It'd make it better.
Yeah, make it a lot better. Hey, Will, we had a great question earlier. Somebody asked if an individual has medical bills that are very large, could those medical bills go after the claim?
I'm not sure I understand how the medical bills would relate to the claim.
Well, yeah, what I said is if those medical bills aren't recorded as a judgment in the county level, then they don't have any rights to file a claim.
Oh, so the question really is whether those medical bills need to be paid from the claim. And I think you've got the right answer to it, which is if those people who are owed money have filed claims and gotten to the point where it's a judgment and filed a judgment lien of record, then they would have potentially some recourse and some entitlement. And if not, they're what's called an unsecured creditor, and they have, as much claim as any other unsecured creditor. They've got to come and get it, and it's probably they're hoping to get anything at that point.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, the priority of any level of claims starts with secured claims, and then once all secured claims are satisfied or negotiated out, then unsecured claims have a shot at getting satisfied. And by secured, it would be secured by the property. That's typically, when you talk about collateral, real property is usually the collateral, on a home equity loan. Certainly they're securing their loan with the property itself, and that's their recourse if you don't pay back that loan, or the person who borrowed it doesn't pay it back. And that's the security. So secured creditors are taken care of first. Unsecured creditors are left holding out their hands.
Yeah, absolutely. So Matthew, you asked that question. Does that answer that for you?
Yeah, it actually does. And then I'm gonna have to rewind and rewatch this video.
Okay.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, awesome. So somebody asked, is it better to get an attorney in a certain state or does it have to be closer to a certain city? For example, if I needed to get an attorney for Texas and I know someone in San Antonio, would I need to get one in Dallas if the client lives there? So my attorney that I have in Texas is actually in El Paso and he handles the claims all throughout Texas, mainly because they're still doing e-filing. Now, if he had to go to an in-court hearing and he's all the way in El Paso and he has to go, somewhere else, he might say, hey, I can refer you to another attorney that's closer there. But if you're dealing with an actual claim in that state, I believe, will correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll have to be licensed in that state if you're actually pursuing to have those funds dispersed.
So for the most part, that's right. And, you can practice as an attorney in a state where you're licensed to practice and you're limited to that state, but you can practice anywhere in that state. There is, as Eric said, where it has to be in person, especially in a large state like Texas, you may want to get, the attorney may want to get someone who's local to there. It doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't work with somebody who's a little further away. It just means they may need to get an agent or an assistant as local counsel to physically go to the hearing. That's
Okay.
and that is something that attorneys often do. If I've got someone in California, I got an email today. Somebody in California, they've got a hearing in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, on December 20th. Asked me if I could cover the hearing for them, and that is something that there's a whole bunch of attorneys who do that, act as local counsel for other attorneys.
Okay, that's amazing. I didn't even know that. That's perfect. So then as long as you still have that agreement with that attorney, their representative that they have would, still be working with them. So you're fine. You don't need to get into a whole new contract.
I think that's right, and it will depend. There's often those people who do those local appearances, depending on the level of complexity of the matter. Sometimes we'll do it on a flat fee basis, or
Okay.
sometimes on an hourly basis. It just depends. But
Okay.
that's if anybody's looking for local counsel in a particular area, feel free to reach out for me, and I can try to find somebody for you.
Okay, great. All right. Lysandra said, did you say we shouldn't work unclaimed inheritance money? I never said that. I'm not sure where you heard that from. Emily said, have you ever run into a client or potential client that only spoke Spanish or preferred to speak Spanish? Yes, especially in Florida, you will deal with clients that might only speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, but I have a lot of friends that do. And I have individuals on a part of my company that do speak Spanish. So if you don't speak Spanish and you need somebody, I can help you with that. Or, you could always, research online, find a Spanish cold caller. You can find somebody to assist you with that. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and get into motivation. So my motivational nugget of the day is fear. So we'll discuss fear. Fear comes from the unknown. So most people are fearful, they're afraid because they don't know. So you might be, if you're watching this and you haven't started doing surplus funds, you might be afraid because you simply don't know. You don't know how to do it. You don't know what it takes to actually do it. You don't know the steps. You don't know what to say on the phone. Or maybe if you've gotten the course, you've been learning about this and you're just afraid to make calls. You can't get over that fear to actually get on the phone and bang out calls. That's just because you don't know. Okay. And the fear comes from the unknown. And the best way to get over fear is to get knowledge. Okay. So when you get knowledge in a certain field, like now we're discussing surplus funds, you'll be able to get knowledgeable so that when you do get on the phone, you have nothing to be afraid of. You are fully knowledgeable. You present yourself in a professional manner. You should be fully confident in what you do. Also, when it comes to fear in business, a lot of people are afraid to venture off and become an entrepreneur and go after things on their own because they're afraid that it may not work out. They're afraid that, okay, if I take this risk, I might lose money or I might waste my time. And the best way to handle that is to minimize your risk. Okay. And the best way to do that is by having some sort of consistent income, whether that's a job or a gig work. You can literally be a Uber driver, Lyft, food delivery, anything to actually cover your expenses. So if you have, rent, mortgage, food, gas, your car, whatever it is, if you have your income covering that, now you can take, that leap to go ahead and work on your side hustle, work on surplus funds, because if it fails, at least that you have enough income to cover your bills, cover your necessities. So if you're afraid and you're watching this, make sure you get knowledgeable on whatever it is you do, build your confidence, but also make sure you have that consistent income to cover your expenses, and you'll do great. That's what I did when I first started off. I made sure that I had enough income coming in to cover all my expenses, and everything that I made after that extra, I risked it. I became an entrepreneur. I started multiple businesses and I got after it. And I didn't care if I failed, because if I did fail, at least I know I could survive. I have somewhere to stay, have somewhere to eat. My car can be paid for, things like that. Let's see. So today we're going to talk about how you can actually do the surplus funds business the cheapest way possible. So a lot of people, they'll message me and they'll say, hey, I don't have enough money for this, or I don't have enough money for that, or can I get started with this? And although I don't like going the cheapest way possible, today I'm going to break it down for you. And then tomorrow we're going to discuss why you should have expenses. And we're going to talk about the most efficient way to do surplus funds with a decent overhead expense size for a business. So for starters, when you're doing surplus funds, the cheapest way possible, you want to establish a business name. So you can do this with a DBA, which is doing business as. Now, this is going to be a cheaper route than an LLC. If you do have the funds, I recommend going ahead and getting an LLC, because it's just a little bit more. Like in Florida, for example, if you're doing a DBA, it's $54. If you're doing an LLC, it's like $120. You might as well go ahead and get the LLC. But if you're going to be super duper cheap, just go ahead and get the DBA. You'll get that. I'm not sure what other states charge, but in Florida, it's around $50. You're going to go on the IRS's website and get an EIN. That's going to be free. And then you're going to go to a bank. You can go to a local credit union where they don't charge any fees at all, and you can open a bank account. Once you open this bank account, now you have your business set up to actually receive payments. Now you can go ahead and start moving forward with the business. If you don't have the funds to create your own website, you can create a free Facebook business page. Now, this is all the cheapest way possible. This is not necessarily something that I recommend to actually be successful in this business, but you can do this and get a deal. You get your Facebook business page up for free. Now you have your website and you have a bank account and you have your business established. The next step is you actually have to find leads. You have to find people to contact. So you need to figure out whatever county you're working in, how they host their information. Do they have surplus funds lists? Do they have excess proceeds lists? Do they have auction calendars? Do they have tax sale results where you can see where these properties were foreclosed? And if they do have this for free online, boom, now you have your lead information. You can perform due diligence on the county's level. This is all for free. You're going to be spending a lot of time and effort into this, but you're doing this as cheap as possible. It might take you 4, 5, 6 hours doing research, but if you don't have the capital and funds to get started, this is going to be the best route for you. So after you find who's actually owed this money, now you have to find how you can contact them. So if you don't have any money for Ben Verified, which is only $23 a month, or you can't afford an expensive skip tracing site, you can use True People Search. True People Search is free. It may not be that accurate, but you can get a deal from True People Search. You go on True People Search, you look up their phone number, you contact them, you look up relatives, boom, you get them on the phone. After you get them on the phone, Now you're going to move forward with the claim. Once you move forward with the claim, you can send them these documents for email for free, or you can send them via fax, which can be inexpensive, or you can mail these documents. If you're being as cheap as possible, you can just put a stamp on something in the mail and just wait for it in snail mail. And then now we'll go ahead and get over. Will just said fax zero. I'm assuming that's going to be a fax website for free. Okay, great. Yep, free fax service, ad driven. Perfect. There you go. That's a free service that you can use. So if you have these documents, you can send them for free via email and fax. If you want to mail these documents, if you're dealing with an older individual who cannot see these documents on an email, they want it physically in person, you can mail it in snail mail. So then after that, these forms are going to need to be notarized. So if you're doing this as cheap as possible, you could ask the client if they have any notary friends or if they could stop by the bank to get it notarized. Now, like I said before, this is the cheapest way possible. I don't recommend, having your clients actually pay for that service. You want to make everything as simple as possible, and you want to handle all fees associated with this, including a notary. Now, a notary is only going to cost you around $35 to $50 for a mobile notary. So if you don't have that, you can ask the client. All right. So then after that, you want to figure out how the county accepts their claims. If they require an attorney, boom, you can find an attorney that works off a contingency. That's not going to cost you anything up front. If the county doesn't require an attorney and they just need you to submit the documents, you need to figure out, do they only accept originals? Do they accept via fax? Do they accept via email? So now you can do this entire business, to be honest, under $150. If you don't have a printer at home, you could always go to the library. You can go to Staples. If you don't want to use your personal phone number, you can use Google Voice, which is free. If you don't have a business email, you could sign up with Gmail, which is free as well. So there's many ways that you can do this business very inexpensively. Lysandra, great question. You said, can we use DocuSign at first instead of a notary? So you can use DocuSign for your agreement form, but most counties do not accept DocuSign for their actual claim forms. But the agreement form, that's going to be between you and the client. So that's fine. But that's breaking down the cheapest way possible. Does anybody have any questions with that? Or is anybody actually interested in going that route? You may not have the capital to get started.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Claudia.
Since like most of my deals are, I have to use an attorney, is it okay if I'm allowed to notarize the documents since I'm also a notary?
Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. You just have to make sure that your name isn't on those documents.
Okay. Thank you.
You can't notarize your own documents. Yeah.
Yes, I'm aware. I just wanted to make sure, since it was like my company, and even though the attorney's putting together the paperwork, would it be an issue?
Well, it's sometimes you can have the same interest and the county might reject it if you're notarizing something with your business. But I've handled all the notaries for my claims if they're in my state, in my area, and I haven't had any issues with that. Now there could be like a conflict of interest, but I don't think that the individuals that are reviewing these claims at the county's level will actually look at that and cause a red flag.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you. Talk up just a little bit.
This question is for William, if he's still on right now.
Yeah, Will's still on. Go ahead.
Perfect. All right, so I don't want to cut out the attorney portion, but I know when you make an agreement with a claimant, could you possibly set in the agreement for them to file the papers? Because from what I'm hearing, it seems like you're only paying the attorney to file the forms, because you're kind of doing all the legwork, you make sure all the forms are correct. you're handed over to the attorney just to make the claim in states that require an attorney. Would it be possible to have the claimant submit them after you have verified the information is correct?
I don't see any reason why not. I think there are some circumstances where that would be fine, a straightforward claim. You run a slight risk there of the claimant effectively withholding your funds. You have an agreement that presumably calls for that situation. If they're the one who is actually filing the paperwork, then they're going to be remitting the funds to you that you've earned for doing it. But if the money comes to them, you might, in some circumstance, be chasing them. But I don't see any reason why where a state or county requires either an attorney or the claimant themselves, why you couldn't defer to the claimant. I think in some cases, the attorney is doing more than just doing the filing, but in a case where they're just doing the filing, I don't see any issue with that. Eric, do you
Yeah,
feel
no,
that
I
way?
don't at all. Good question though. Will, I have a question for you. This is something that you could probably provide some knowledge on. What would happen, and I speak about this briefly in my course, if a claim is rejected? What would happen if a claim is rejected?
I might need a little more information, but in most cases, I'd think a claim being rejected would be because of some deficiency, and then it should be curable. In most cases where a filing with a court or agency gets rejected, you get some notification that it's been rejected, and then you get some opportunity to refile with whatever corrections or additions are needed. So I would think, if it's rejected with no information about why it's been rejected, I'd call up the agency that rejected it or the court that rejected it and ask for some explanation of who it was that reviewed it and rejected it, and what can I do to cure these deficiencies. Is there a more specific example of that having happened and what the background was?
That's literally what I have in the course, and I've never had a claim rejected before, so I just wanted to see if you had a different input, but it's pretty much the same. Yeah, you want to figure out why it was rejected and then see what you can do to make it curable.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, if there was say what you were providing was a driver's license and it wasn't the driver's license of the claimant, I could see that being rejected. They'd say, well, we actually looked at this and, it says John Smith and we were looking for, Joanna Jones. Then you've either provided the wrong information by mistake, or you're trying to get one over and they caught you. So I think in most cases, I could see it being more convoluted for the person at the court or agency if it's an estate case where, maybe they don't readily understand that this is an administrator or executor of the estate, or you haven't provided the documentation to show this person was granted letters of administration for the estate, or is the executor under the will of the estate. So it's another case by case, but I think you're always best reaching out directly for the person who is reviewing the paperwork.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right. For everybody that's viewing right now, is anybody facing any issues when it comes to doing this business? Anything that's holding you back? Or maybe you're doing the business and there's something that's just slowing you down. Does anybody have anything right now that they need a little bit of help with? Nobody. Okay, great. Everybody's killing it. Well, we got Matthew, who got a deal on the last call, and then today he said that he was communicating with another individual, so he's moving forward. Stanley, how have you been? You've been making calls?
I made a couple calls, but I've been really like putting my stuff together as far as like get my documents, know how to find the documents, know how to find like each different counties I want to work in, and just really researching the counties so I can just know how to do it better than I just like be prepared when I do stuff. So therefore I can just, okay, I got this, do that way, just be more prepared so I could be on track with everything.
More prepared. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's always good to be as prepared as possible, but I will let you know this. The more time that you're waiting, there's other companies contacting them, and you know enough to where you can at least get them on the phone. So now you know you have communication with a potential lead. So now, let's say you're working with a county and you have an individual that's owed these funds, you can go ahead and at least talk to them, maybe get them under contract, and then you can perform a little bit more due diligence, a little bit more research, check exactly how the county accepts claims, things like that. But I do recommend at least getting on the phone because, based on that mock call that we had last week and, the amount of information you've been soaking up on this 30-day challenge and the course, I feel like you're definitely knowledgeable enough to have conversations with individuals on the phone.
I'm not gonna phone. I'm gonna phone all day tomorrow. I'm gonna probably spend like about maybe like 4 to 5 hours on the phone tomorrow.
Okay, good. That's what I like.
goal.
Okay, great.
A quick question for you, Art.
Go ahead,
When
Matt.
when you do a new county or when you look for a new client, right? Do you always do what recently went through foreclosure or an auction, or how do you approach a new county when you're looking for new clients?
For a new county with brand new foreclosures, or a new county and I'm just going off of old claims that they might have a list from?
The first one, because what I was having an issue was just approaching a county, and then I was like, you know what, let me just look at a different auction website, and that's how I'm doing it. But how do you do it when you're like, all right, let me try a different state or a different county?
Yeah, so well, the first thing that I do is I have to see how they host their information. Is this something that's easily accessible online? Do they have an auction calendar? Do they have a whole section regarding excess funds, surplus funds? Do they have the list there? Do I have to contact the county? Either way, I'm going to get that information because, most counties have that information, whether it's public information or they just host those records somewhere that you can't find it. I'll still get it. And in the course, I do have a section on how to contact the counties, and I have an email template that you can send over. After I get this information, I then, stick back to the basic concepts of this business. I want to locate the overage. I want to locate the individual, get them on the phone, stick to my 4 pillars when it comes to the call, and try to get them under contract, either send over an agreement form, send over all the documents. But, I don't like to get too deep into research when I'm jumping into a new county. I just want to literally get the information. As fast as I can get the information, I'm going to go ahead and start contacting individuals. Then after that, I'll get into, all right, what do I need to do? Do I need to, pay to see some documents? Because some counties, you might have to pay to see deed documents, but if I can at least see who the previous owner was and that there is an excess amount, I'm going to get straight to making calls.
How do you feel that you're done with one county? Are you when you just like try exhaust all leads, or?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So exhausting all leads in the county can take a while, especially if you're doing a county that can have leads that go back, all the way to, like 2014. So that can be a lot of people to call. But if you've contacted all the individuals in that county and you've reached out and done all 5 methods of communication, then that's when I would say, move on to another county. But there's new foreclosures that are constantly happening. So that county that you might give up on might have a foreclosure that next week, and that could be a deal that might get you, a nice payday. So I don't like to just, write counties off. But also, I do have a team of individuals that can contact multiple counties. So if you're just doing this yourself and you want to start bouncing around, you can do that, but don't write an entire county off. Don't just say, oh, this is too difficult, I'm not going to do it. Just maybe put it to the side. Focus on a county that you can get deals done pretty easily. After you get your income in, think about how you can expand your business so that you can be in other counties as well.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we got some questions. And another call, you and Will mentioned actually buying the interest of the prospect if they think it's a scam or are not interested. How does one go about that situation? What do you say to actually extend that offer to them? That was Rayleigh Sosa. Will, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I'll say it's not something I've done in this specific context, but I think it's the same way that you would make an offer for anything that you were interested in buying, where you thought maybe it was more valuable than the person holding it. If somebody's selling a car and you know, I guess in this case, you're going to them with a business proposition. You're going to them saying, I'd like to represent you and help you get this money that you're owed. And they're coming back and saying, this sounds like a scam. I don't believe it. Well, there's nothing scammy about saying, what do you think about if you believe that this isn't worth anything? I'll send you a check for $1,000 to buy your right under this claim. That's how much I believe in it. I believe that this claim has value. I believe you're owed money. And if I can buy this claim from you, I can go take it and get that money. If you believe it's worth nothing, I'm happy to pay you $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, depending on the size of the claim, of course, to buy your interest. One of the things that you want to be careful of, that buying the claim for a fraction of the price is something that regulators are very concerned about from a scam perspective, because there are people who go to market and try to buy these claims for pennies on the dollar. I would argue there's nothing particularly scammy about that. That's somebody, they're actually making more money than they'd make if they ignore the claim altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what you need to do is be careful and make sure that you document that transaction properly. This is a sale. You're buying something. And what you're buying is their right to that claim. And that happens all the time. People, there are collection firms that buy claims from people who are owed money, who have judgments and can't collect on them. And because they can't collect on them, but maybe the collection agency can, it's more valuable to that firm. So I don't know if that's, my thinking is you're really just making this offer after you've exhausted the possibility of doing the work for them by saying, I really believe this has value, and I would like to get value out of it either by helping you, or if you want no part of this because you're scared and you think that I'm going to ask you for money at some point, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to give you money. All I'm asking for you is to take my money and sell me this claim. And maybe that pushes them over the edge to be convinced that it has value, or maybe they sell it to you.
Exactly. Yeah. And then previously we talked about it because still somebody might be like, okay, well, this is a scam. If you're trying to get my bank information to send the funds, but we said previously that if you send a check and they cash it, that could kind of uphold some weight that they agreed to that contract.
I mean, we get into, and we can do this, on a separate, one of the smaller private calls, the basics of contracting and what constitutes a valid offer and acceptance and consideration for the agreement and what makes it enforceable. But if you create an enforceable contract, there's nothing stopping you from buying that claim, or as we talked about, creating the offer such that it can be accepted by the performance of cashing that check.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. All right. So Monique said, do you know if some counties have a cap on the years you can go back to help the claimant? Yeah. So each county is different. There's some counties in California where you only have 1 year to actually submit your claim, nothing more than that. And I actually submitted a claim a year and 1 month, and they did not accept the claim. And it was just tragic that did occur. But some counties, after a while, they you have to see what they do with the funds. Are they going to cheat them over to the state, or are they going to keep the funds? You know, you have to see what the county actually does with that money. Will, do you know anything about that? When it comes to a cap on the years for the claimant to actually file the claim?
I think it's probably rooted in the state statute, at least in Pennsylvania it is. And then counties might have different policies and processes and procedures that can vary slightly from the state. A year sounds like a very short amount of time, but if they're permitted to do that by the statute, then they can go ahead and do that. And I think, trying to, that really for me, if I were trying to choose where I wanted to focus my attention and focus my time and my efforts, the first thing that I want to do is try to find the right county or counties that either have lengthy, incubation periods, or potentially have very short incubation periods. Maybe that gives you an edge. You come in at month 11 and there's more urgency. But I think that would help guide my selection process. I do think there's so many of these out there. It's really about focusing on, getting very good at a county or a handful of counties. That would be my thought for strategy.
Okay, awesome. All right. So, shout out to OSC with the super chat. Hey, that's my first super chat. Thanks, man. And actually, sorry, I removed you from the Zoom call because the name, it just seemed like, in the first few calls we had some people that were doing scams on here. But if you want to hop back in the Zoom call, definitely hop back on. Thank you for that super chat. David said, what about when I contacted all the numbers on the lead? Should I give up on that deal? So David, what you have to do is look at every single avenue of research. James tapped into this on a call a few weeks ago about exhausting your investigation. So in his scenario, he saw her picture on Facebook and he saw where she worked at in the picture. And then he contacted her employer, and then, he got into contact with her that way. So if you reach out the first day and you call, you leave a text message, no response. The second day you call, leave a text message, send email, no response. Next day you call, send text message, search on social media, send out mailers, no response. And then the last attempt would be, looking for relatives, maybe friends, family, doing a deeper dive on their social media, Facebook. Most people have Facebook. But if you can't find them, through all those avenues, I would move on to the next one, just strictly because this is a numbers game. The more people you contact, the better chance you have at getting a deal. There might be some people who you can't find. There might be some people that you can find, but you just can't get the deal done. We're not 100% when it comes to contacting them, but if you stick to the process, go through all the steps necessary and try to present yourself as professional as possible, you'll get deals done. You're not going to be 100%, but you will get deals done for sure. Okay, somebody said, I'm having issues with time management. Okay, so if you're having issues with time management, I always say this business only requires 2 to 3 hours per day. That's going to be straight, 2 to 3 hours straight, no distractions. You're on the computer doing research, you're making phone calls. Just set aside 2 to 3 hours and you'll be good in this business. Okay, does anybody have any other questions? Sandra said, what are the best hours of the day to make calls? You can contact individuals from 9 till 7. You don't want to call after 8. You don't want to, that's just rude. The weekends you can call people. Yeah, I like to call on the weekends 11 to 2. I've had the most success calling individuals from the time of like 5:30 to about 7 when individuals get off of work. That's been the best hit rate for me, but it is different for everybody else. Okay, Sam said, when filing your documents, do you send any type of cover letter? Yes, Sam. So there is a cover letter. There's one provided in the course, and then also an attorney when they're filing this, they'll have a cover letter as well. And well, if you want to talk about how your cover letter would look if you're filing a claim.
Sure. So if it's purely e-filing, then there may not be any opportunity to do a cover letter. If I'm mailing or hand delivering something to a court or a bureau, then I'm including a cover letter, and it's just another piece of evidence that, you know, is going to have the date. It's going to have some very basic information about what the claim is that I'm filing, and it's going to say what I'm including. So, you know, the very classic standard line enclosed, you know, previously was enclosed herewith, please find. I don't want to go with herewith. It's a little too legalese and old school, but enclosed, please find the following documents for filing on the above referenced claim. And it's, you know, number one, this claim form with all the information, and number two, a copy of the person's driver's license, number three, the power of attorney, et cetera, whatever documents. So you can really prove, and it's another tangible delivery thing to send a copy to the claimant to show what the work is you're doing. And it kind of serves, I want to do it almost as a table of contents or an index for the person receiving it, so they can, you know, check off their list and know that you've provided them everything they need. And I'd always end any communication like that with, if you have any questions at all, please call me directly at this number. And, you know, thank you for your time and consideration.
Yep, that is exactly how the cover letter pretty much is. I'm trying to pull up one of mine that I submitted. Yeah, I mean, I say, you know, attached are the following documents. We list out, you know, the limited power of attorney, the county's claim form, the driver's license. Also, I'll put, you know, the case number associated with it, the individual's name, the date the property was sold. I'll try to give them, you know, as much information as possible. So if you guys can't find that claim form, just reach out to me and I can email it to you. I believe I put it in the course though. Okay, Sam said, oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, you're welcome. I think somebody else asked a question as well. Oh, OSC on YouTube. Do I need to purchase the course to work for you? So if you want to partner and you are not a member, a registered student, then you just have to have previous experience in asset recovery. So to answer that question, no, you don't have to purchase my course, but you at least have to have some knowledge in asset recovery, because then I'll have to teach you. And then if I have to teach you, it's like, you know, well, the course is right there, it can already teach you. So do I have to have a template for each state in the course? So each state is different, but when it comes to filing, generically, you're going to need the, you know, pretty much the same stuff. Each county is going to have their own individual county's claim form, or, you know, an attorney can draft up an affidavit for them to release the surplus funds. So there's really no set form that you can use in every state, but the forms that are provided in the course, you can definitely use that. James said, this is awesome. Thank you, James Graves. Okay. All right. Does anybody want to do any mock calls? Cassie, yes, you can join the Zoom call. If you want to join, go ahead and call. Hop on that.
Stanley ought to get some practice for tomorrow.
Yeah, Stanley, are you ready? Tomorrow you're gonna be, you said you're gonna make five hours.
I would say this, without putting Stanley completely on the spot, even though I just did. I'm going to say, if I'm in Stanley's shoes, you know, today, and it sounds like Stanley's like me. I want to get my ducks in a row. I want to analyze and maybe overanalyze. And there is a little analysis paralysis. And it's also a little piece of maybe fear of getting on the call. I would suggest, Stanley, instead of going from no calls today to 4 to 5 hours tomorrow, set something that you can absolutely achieve. So you don't have to go to 4 to 5 hours tomorrow. If you do, great. How about 1 call, 2 calls, or 5 calls? Set something that you can absolutely kill and do that tomorrow. And I'd say, start with a Mach 1 now. This is the easiest call you're going to get. If you're going to make 5 calls tomorrow, this is going to be the easiest of all of them.
What you say, Stan? You ready?
Hello.
Come on, Stanley, let's go. We rooting for you, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. Can somebody go before me though?
Okay.
I want to see somebody else go ain't never been on here. I think I've been on a lot of them.
All right, I'll go before you, unless somebody else wants.
Okay, who is that talking? Is that Kai or BB?
Both of us.
Okay. Hey, does anybody else want to give rebuttals? Because I always give kind of the same generic rebuttals. Would anybody like to, be the person on the other end of the call? Stanley, would you want to be the claimant?
I do it.
Man, after all the rebuttals I got, these people
Or Matthew, yeah. Okay, Matthew,
are rude.
Okay, all right. Kai, you ready?
Yeah, let's do
Who
it.
doing it? Me or I'm doing it or?
Go ahead, Stanley.
Okay.
So make sure you guys know who the person's name is, the county, the dollar amount, the type of foreclosure, tax overage, mortgage foreclosure. Go ahead and communicate that.
I'm in New York. My name is my name actually named Stan, and I had lost my house due to tax for like 5,000.
Okay.
And I stay at 123 Main Street.
You have that, Kai? You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, Stanley. So just start from hello, and then you guys can go from there.
Hello?
Hello, man. Speak to Stanley.
Speaking, who's calling?
Hey, Stanley. My name is Kai. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Stanley, I'm with a recovery asset company, and what we do is we help people like yourself that may have been attached to a property and may have lost it through some unfortunate situations, whether it was through taxes or through mortgage. Was you associated with 123 Main Street at any point?
You know what? I just had somebody just call me 10 minutes ago about this. I'm tired of these phone calls. Why do you keep calling?
Hey, listen, Stanley, the only reason why people are really reaching out to you because you are owed some funds that you're probably
What funds? Where are these funds from?
Got you. Either you owed some fund, either you know about the funds or you don't
You
know
pay me
about
right
the
now?
funds. Excuse me?
Can you pay me the funds right now?
There's a process in getting the funds. If you allow me the opportunity to explain it, I could better help you to understand why the people are calling, including myself. So
I
what
ain't got that
happens
much
is,
time. Let's make it quick.
I'm trust me, I was going to be real quick, Stanley. So basically, what happened was at 123 Main Street, some unfortunate error of the loss of the house. When the house went up for sale, there was something called the overage, a surplus. So that house went up for taxes for $5,000. This house actually sold for like 80. So that means there's a surplus and extra money that is back due to you of 75,000. Now the county does a horrible job of reaching out.
You saw how much money I owe?
You owe like 5,000. You owe like 5,000 in back taxes. But what happened was when it got foreclosed through the sheriff's sale, they actually sold it for more than what it was owed for. So
Wow.
these monies are due to you, and so this is why you're getting all these annoying phone calls because
The
people
money
really
is
are.
due to me, you said? Can I just
Yes,
go down to the county and do it myself?
actually you are you can do it yourself. But let me ask you a question. Are you familiar on how to file these claims?
No, it's my first time hearing about it.
Right. I'm I'm actually an expert at doing this stuff. Me and my team, what we do is we really get in, we get all the information, no no upfront cost to you. Any legal fees or anything that has to be occurred, we absorb that cost. That way, you don't have to be worrying about when is the claim going to get paid out, filing out the paperwork, dealing with the county. We deal with all of that, so it's headache free to you. And at the end of the process, all you could do is just go ahead and cash a check. Now, Stanley, what I like to do is get your email.
How much you getting paid for this?
Well, what I don't get paid until you get paid. And that part of it is a negotiation between you and I as far as what the fee would be. So if you allow me to get your email address, that way I can send some information over to you. You take a look at it, give it about a day or two, and let's get back together. And then let me go over it line by line.
I don't have the email address.
You do not?
No, I don't want to get my email address.
Okay, so why don't I just overnight the information to you? I could send it to you FedEx overnight. You could get it tomorrow. Take a look at it, and then the following day, we either in the morning or in the evening, we could get together, and I could call you back, and we can go over it line by line. How does that sound?
Can you just send me a text message with it, and then if I like it, I can just give you a call back?
Oh, that's even better. That means I can get it to you tonight. So can I get back with you tomorrow, either during the morning or in the evening? What's best for you?
Probably the evening time. I get off work probably like about 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. So how about I give you a chance to get in, settle in, and call you back about 5 o'clock? Is that good?
All right, great. That'd be great. And then I'll take a look at the document, make sure everything is correct.
Stanley, thank you for your time, and I'll make sure that we get this thing taken care of immediately for you.
All right.
All right, so Stanley, man, you're great at rebuttals. You put yourself in the shoes of somebody. Those are rebuttals that you'll actually get on the call. That was great. So if you know the rebuttals that are coming, you should already have yourself in their shoes, and you should know how to hit them with ways to win them over. But Kai, great job. You definitely handled all the rebuttals well. You kept the nice tone. You didn't get too rattled, when he hit you with stuff like that. Just a few little tweaks at the beginning. You have a little bit of question in your tone. After you verify that they are the person who was the previous owner, it wouldn't be any like maybes or, just were you, or it just sounded a little bit too questiony at the beginning. The only time you should be questioning is, were you the previous owner? And then boom, after that, the next thing that you would possibly question is, has somebody contacted you to assist you in filing this claim? After that, you know exactly what happened. You know the exact dollar amount of taxes that were owed. You know exactly how much it sold for. You know the exact reason why there was a surplus. So you did a good job explaining it, but you can handle it just a little bit more as an expert, especially when it comes to explaining why the surpluses came about. You can shrink it into the county could only keep what was owed. The property sold for a higher amount, and the remaining amount is legally due to you. You can sum everything up in that small little sentence right there, and that'll save you time, and it'll be easier for these people to comprehend it.
Okay, that's awesome. But Stanley, you did a good job, man. That's all right, man. Hey, man, I want to say I have, for everyone that's listening, I've been a part of other programs, right? I've been a part of the $1,700 program. I've been a part of the $450 program, and we all know who those programs are. And sometimes it was information overload for the most part. And when I say it's probably been at this point, being a part of those programs at least 2 years, and this was like the very first time that I have not only taken the full leap and actually started making the phone calls and reaching out and getting to people. So Stanley, like Will was saying, sometimes you just gotta you have to be to the point where, all right, I'm just gonna go for it. And if you don't feel like going for the heavy ones, you go for the lighter ones. You go for the the little small 2,000, 3,000, get your feet wet, get your chops down, and then you go for the bigger ones when you feel a little more comfortable. But it's nothing to it, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's great words of advice right there. Claudia even said, I totally agree. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for being a part of this community and getting better. That's what it's all about. All right, Stanley, do you want to get on the other side of the call now? Do you want to be the person making the call? We got enough time for one more call.
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay. Kai, do you want to go back at him with rebuttals?
Nah, I'm gonna let Stanley live. I ain't gonna hit him too hard.
Okay. Hey, Matthew, how about you give him the rebuttals?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just do some stuff that I came across.
Okay.
Hey Stanley, just know I owe you one though, brother. I'm coming.
All right, Matthew. So go ahead and tell him, your name, how much you're owed, what county, what type of foreclosure.
Hey Stanley, you could go ahead and make the dollar amount, the street address. I'll just do the rebuttals. And just you could just call me Matt or Matthew, however you feel.
Okay, great.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right.
So Matthew, you'll start with hello, and then it'll go from there.
Okay. Hello?
Hello, can I speak to Matthew?
Yeah, who's calling?
Hey, Matthew, my name is Stan. I'm calling for Up and All Assets Recovery. I don't want to take too much time of your day today. I just have an actual question.
Hold on, slow down. You said asset recovery. What is this? Is it like a tax collector or like a bill collector? Because I already
I
paid
just want
off
to ask
my.
you one question. Can I ask you a quick question real fast?
All right, well, hold on. What's the recovery? I don't. What is that?
My name is Stan. I'm calling. I have an assets recovery company, and what we do, we help people recover the funds that the county have to them.
Okay. So go ahead.
I know. Were you the previous owner of 123 Main Street?
Yeah, that one the house just got foreclosed on, so I'm no longer the owner.
Okay. Was you aware of the foreclosure that took place on October the 12th, 2020?
Yeah, I just said that it just got foreclosed on.
Okay, great. Well, I have great news for you. The reason why I'm calling you is because I know you've probably been getting a lot of phone calls, and the reason I want to call you because I want to help take care of that problem today. I want to help you take care of that problem today. Now, the reason why this call, like I told you, I have some great important information to give you that your house had went
Give it
into a
to me, man.
foreclosure.
Just tell me.
Your house had went into a foreclosure, and you due to funds that the county holds, and I just want to help you recover those funds.
So what are these? I mean, this sounds weird, man. Explain to it one more time, please.
So you know what? Since it sounds a little scammy and everything, I can send you all these documents to show you exactly what I'm looking at, so
Hold
you
on,
can
bro.
see
Hold on.
exactly what I'm looking
Slow
at.
down. All right, slow down. So what exactly is an asset recovery? I'm not even sure what that is. And then as far as the house being foreclosed, that happened a while ago, and you're saying that I have funds due to me. Like you gotta slow down a little bit. Explain it, because I'm a slow thinker, man. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm on too. I'm a slow thinker too now. I totally understand where you're coming from because you got me calling you and you don't know who I am, but I just want to make it clear to you so you can understand. That's why I said I can send these documents over to you and we could both go over them at the same time. Now, what I'm looking at is you had a house that went to a foreclosure back in October of
Mm-hmm.
2020. And what happened is the county do not do a good job in reaching out to you. You probably moved and you probably didn't change your address. And when the county tried to reach out to you, they was unable to reach out to you. So I'm reaching out to you today, because let me ask you a question, Matthew. If I could tell you if I can help you recover these funds, what would be something that you'll do with the funds?
Well, I didn't even know I have funds to coming this way. So that's, to be honest with you, I don't even, if I get funds or if I get no funds, it doesn't make a difference at this point. You know what I'm trying to say?
Because I'm looking at it right now, you do the $70,000, you know, so, you know, I'm pretty sure that, you know, due to the holiday season, everything, that money could come in handy right now, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like saying you have 70,000 on a lotto ticket. It's definitely something you have to show me. That's legitimate.
Okay. Okay, great then. Well, how about you give me your email? You have an email address?
Mm, you know, you can send it to my other phone. Send over to 111 11 11 11.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna send the documents over to you. And tomorrow I do have time. I'm looking at my calendar now. I have available 1 and 2 o'clock. What time works best for you?
Probably not tomorrow, man. I have to see what this is about. I'm gonna have to do some Google search on what this even is.
Okay, let me ask you another question before we got the call. Are you the only decision maker?
What? Um, I don't think that really concerns you, sir.
Okay, then. Well, I will send the documents over to you, and I can just reach back out to you. I'm gonna reach back out to you on Wednesday. Would that work?
Yeah, try me Wednesday. Let's see how that works. Let me look at these pictures and we'll go from there.
Okay, so Wednesday at 1 or 2 o'clock, I have open. What time works best for you?
Let's do two.
All right, too. Well, Matthew, like I said, I didn't want to take up too much of your time today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thanks.
All right. Matthew was
Okay.
tough.
Yeah, Matthew is tough. So Stanley, what areas do you think that you can improve on based on that?
Basically, honestly, I was reading, so like I went on point with my 4 pillars. You know, at first I was, he kind of threw me off when I was trying to like skip the question and get to my next question, and we kept asking what is an assets recovery. You know, I should have hit him right there with it, and then continue to answer my question because I know when you're doing this, you gotta take control of the conversation, and he kind of like took control, and then I have to take back over control by asking the questions to get him more calm.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, when you read strictly from the script, you can get in trouble, just like how you did on that call. But when you have the pillars, first pillar, boom, you're the introduction. So you're verifying that they're the previous owner, you're stating who you are, what you work for. When Matthew was asking, what is asset recovery? What are you talking about? Are you collecting agency, blah, blah, blah? That's when you could have immediately gone into, no, we're not looking to collect any money from you. We're not a tax collector or anything like that. I'm actually calling to assist you on filing a claim. Now, has anybody contacted you about these funds that are due from this foreclosure? And then if, Matthew kept asking you like, no, nobody told me about this, or, how am I owed money? Boom, that's when you get into the second pillar, how the surplus funds came about. So this is all just a regular conversation. You don't need that script in front of you. You understand what happened. Okay, so
I really don't have a strip. I just have the 4 pillars right there.
you just had pillars. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. At one point, it sounded like you were reading, but you still can just answer. When people ask a question, just answer it. If you know it. If you didn't know it, then okay, that's something we need to work on. But like you said, you started asking more questions to take more control. But this is good though. This is really good, and this is also good for people who are viewing this, because this is what this is about: working on your game. And from when you first started, Stanley, to now, like, and then tomorrow, hell, you might come back tomorrow night and be like, hey, I got somebody on the deal, because now you put yourself in a situation where you were the previous owner. The rebuttals that will come. And now you just put yourself in a situation where you're making the calls, and Matthew gave you some great rebuttals. So you pretty much know all the rebuttals you'll get hit with now. It just comes down to being knowledgeable enough to answer everything fast enough to be an expert. Because if you wait too long to answer a question, or you sound shaky, then they might be like, okay, this is a red flag. But if there's any question that you can't answer, it's always good to attack this business as you are the employee, not like the the actual manager. So if somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer to that, you can say, you know what, I can look into that. I'll reach out to my boss, I'll reach out to my manager, we'll get a good answer for you, we'll get back to you later. So that's how I would handle that. But great job. Yeah, you've been pushing hard. Everybody's saying good job in the chat as well.
Sure.
Matthew.
Yeah, I sucked at first, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting better though. You're getting better. And then I love when you say, I have 1 to 2 open. That shows, like, okay, well, we have other people as well, professional business, things like that. Matthew, do you have any type of advice that you would give as well?
Yeah, I just recent this past week, making these calls, I'm getting rebuttals like that, and it throws me off so bad. I'm like, oh, like how I don't even know how to come back to it, but I really just try to like doing the course and learning as much as I can, so it does help, like you say. And then I don't do like the script or anything like that because it's easier to just conversate.
Yeah.
However, when you do like just today, I recalled another person I called last week, and the guy was like, I already got all my money, and then he said, stop calling me, and then hanged up. And I was like, oh man. So it's definitely, and I know how it feels to just get those rebuttals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Claudia also said objection handling is the hardest part of sales. Once you master, your business will soar, and that's true. Like, this, although we're not, I mean, we're kind of selling a product, this is sales, but and the psychology of business, once you can understand that, and honestly, this is why I like doing these mock calls, especially putting yourself in the other shoe as the previous owner. You now can kind of see how other people are thinking, like, okay, this sounds too good to be true, or, can I do this on my own? Or, I want to Google this first, or, I have an attorney that's my friend, or, I'm going to have yada, yada, yada look into this. So it's always good to practice. This is definitely something that's getting you guys better. Rayleigh said, how much does Matthew have coming in from his deal? Matthew, your deal in Washington, how much was that for?
I don't, give me 1 second. I have the paperwork right here. So my fee, I'm only allowed to charge 5%, so it's roughly around 4,200. However, the client, she's entitled to $87,945. That's subject to change because I still got to find out if there's any liens and against the property.
Mm-hmm. And then today you were working on a deal as well. How much was that one?
Yeah, right now this property sold for 69,885, and it went up to auction for 12,600. So roughly around 57,000. I'm emailing them as we speak right now.
Okay, awesome. That's taking action right there. Great. And if there's anybody else who's been getting deals, we'd love to hear your story as well. But that's it for today, guys. Today was a great call. For those of you who have just joined the 30-day challenge, make sure you go back and watch those previous videos because they've all been great. Especially having, Will on this call. We're very thankful for that. And just doing these mock calls, this is all for everybody to get better. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9, and thank you guys for joining the call tonight.